Hello, this is a review of the draft Woodinville City budget for 2023-2024. We'll talk about developer spending, parks, and other topics. Woodinville is currently in the process of doing its budget planning for 2023-2024. This has involved a lot of analysis of the project list, the parking lot, if you will, of the 6-year CIP, pulling some of those forward. All the data in here is primarily based on the September 13th proposal from the city manager. It's the beginning of the conversation. The date that really matters here is October 18th. That will be when the true debate begins amongst the city council members on what to put in, what to take out, what to change. And this is where citizens can actually make a very large difference by having involvement. And we need as many people as possible. Send emails, come out, speak, and otherwise make the council aware of what you view as important. The budget itself will be final in December after 2 votes. A lot of time for things to still change, but this is the moment where we need to have people start engaging so that beginning October 18th, adjustments can be made. The city manager's proposal comes in the form of a PDF. It's about 100 pages. I cut out the table that really matters here. This is the list of projects that he is proposing the city should fund. These are the capital projects. The second to rightmost column, 2023-2024 budget, is what he's proposing we spend on each item. The 6-year funding, the rightmost column, is what the total cost of that project will be. I will also point out the score is his calculation on the importance. Higher numbers are more important. And carryover are projects that started already. They have to just finish. It's very bad to leave things half done. In total, $22 million worth of capital spending is currently planned. The city has more money. It's just a matter of whether it is willing to take that out of general fund or move the dollars around. This is all open to debate because this is just the proposal from the city manager. Developer spending. So when developers come to the city and say they want a change in the code or a variance, or they need something built that the city must build for them, they enter into a developer agreement. Generally, this involves the city saying, well, if you need this extra, you have to give us something extra in response. The items I've highlighted in yellow are developer related. They total 68% of the entire capital budget. So it's a large portion of the budget that's going to developers. The ones that are in carryover, those were just agreed to in the past. The one that's interesting was agreed to in August. A bit of history. This $4 million charge came out of our capital improvements budget with very little review. Typically, a development agreement takes 3 to 6 months in planning commission and then multiple rounds of council debate. This one was brought forward. Council demanded that the planning commission finish their review in August. The planning commission had 2 total meetings on this topic, and then the city council voted and committed the city to $4 million of spend to help this developer build about 60 townhomes right next to the railroad tracks in downtown. This spend is to build a road. It's a grid road, and that developer is doing the very bare minimum on that phase 1 townhome. Phase 2, which they've promised to build someday, but there is not a commitment, would come with additional parking, commercial, and features that improve the city. Looking at the park spending, the city has a number of items here in green that are park related. All the carryovers continue. What's interesting is also the East Rail Phase 1 rail and tie removal. This is actually cleaning up that railroad. It's a closed railroad at this point. The city hopes to be in the position to start pulling out those rails and grading the land. That project is scheduled for this biennium. The interesting one is the second to bottom study of improvements for East Rail Corridor. Notice that it's a $1.6 million spend for a study. So nothing will come to the citizens. Citizens will see no value from that in this biennium. Compare that to wood trails. Hiking trails is the most asked for type of park in the city. Every time the citizens are surveyed, hiking trails is what people ask for. The last 2 years was spent studying and planning and scoping wood trails. And in fact, a estimate of building 1 mile of trails, they could get to 2 eventually in this land, was $325,000. $325,000 is not a lot of money for a park that's 56 acres and a mile of trails. A little bit later on, this last summer, 2022, there was review, and a number of council members were trying to throw a lot of fear about this, and they asked for a parking study. Parking study came back and said comparisons to other land nearby that has trails showed that there probably is no need for additional parking. But they went ahead and said, add an ADA spot, add a gravel path so that you can have people do on-street parking in the warehouse district. That was still only a $700,000 price tag. And this project, shovel ready, could be built and finished probably in 2 years, is somehow being demoted below doing a study about rail line. Final thought on this. That rail line is about to have a set of townhomes built next to it. As the developer files for permits, they will have to pay what's called a park impact fee. So the moment that developer files their paperwork to start building, the city will receive a big check that can only be spent on parks. So why don't we take the study and fund it from the developer money that's going to come in when they get ready to start building, and build what everyone wants, which is the hiking trails. Taking a look at a few other things that are in the budget. City Hall car chargers. Currently, the city owns 0 electric vehicles, and they need to start buying them because a requirement placed on all the cities to become wholly electric in 2035. That's 12 years, lots of time. And so I don't really mind the idea of going out and investigating car chargers. The odd thing is, City Council has never received an update on what this means. The project was just inserted by the city manager. Notice its score is really low. Only by digging in did I discover it's 4 parking spots with car chargers. You're talking $65,000 per spot. I went and looked. If I was building an apartment building and putting in a public car charger, it would only be between $10,000 and $20,000. But here we are with something 4 to 6 times more expensive. So why? Then I went looking what would cost this much and be called a car charger. This is priced out to be the 30-minute fast chargers you get on the interstate. Why do we need that for City Hall vehicles? These are the cars that the building inspector drives. These are not the snowplows. They could be charged overnight and then used all day. You can drive an electric vehicle hundreds of miles on one charge, and Woodinville is just 5.5 square miles. So this needs a lot more look. You might know $260,000 plus whatever we're going to spend on buying the cars could certainly go towards something else. Because let's be honest, supply chain being what it is, the microchips that are in this car charger and the microchips that are in that electric vehicle means we're probably not going to get any of this for this entire budget. Even if we lock away this money by saying it's part of this budget, the delays in delivery means we will not get the value. Thank you for listening to this. I wanted to just make a quick call out. Woodinville City Council meets at the City Hall downtown at 7 p.m., usually the first and third Tuesday of the month. They always have public comment at the beginning. They always have public comment at the end. You can sign up for either one of them in person, or you can do it virtually. This is the opportunity for people to talk about what's in this budget and make sure it fits what we want. Please send an email to your council, let them know. Come to the October 18th meeting and be engaged.